Wham! Talk 1600. You're catching the drift. Conservative talk. Intelligent conversations on local, state, and national issues with Gary Wellings, chief editor of the Current newspaper and Current Online. Join in the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, your host, Gary Wellings.
Well, I'm supposed to wait till the on-air light's on. Okay, hey, good Saturday afternoon. Hi, this is The Drift with Ed Bonderenka. Well, there's been a coup d'etat here. We had a Mueller investigation, and we did a 25th Amendment, and we removed Gary from power for the day. So it's yourself. It's yourself and us, me. Can I get a do-over? Ed Bonderenka. I'm sitting in here with Gary Frank. And your name, Pastor Rick?
Pastor Rick.
Pastor Rick, yes. Pastor Rick Dietering is in the studio with us. So we are live on the air, so I can't go back and edit any of my little faux pas there.
Are you sure we're live?
Oh, I'm not going to pinch, man. I'm not going to ask you to pinch me either. So, yes. And just to tell you that this is the Drift Radio Show, and what we do is we review the news at thedailydrift.com because...
Well, it's the news you need to know.
No, I'm glad you feel that way. Do you feel that way about it, Pastor Rick?
It is the news you need to know.
Okay, great. So I'm going to take it that it's the news we need to know. And today's also brought to you by the Current newspaper and the Cheryl Stockwell Academy. And Pastor Rick was kind enough to get me a newspaper, which I neglected to do, so that I could pull out the ad here and read to you what you need to know about the Cheryl
And you
Stockwell
do need to know about it because
Academy.
It is the news you need to know.
Yes, it's the ad you need to know. Cheryl Stockwell Academy. Big ad, too. Oh, we'll find out someday. Yes, sir. Yes, we will. Another time we will. I'll tell you about them later. How's that sound? So, did anything happen in the news this week?
No, nothing.
Slow week. All we had was Notre Dame and Mueller and the Democrats losing their mind, and that's about it.
Okay, well, what do you want to talk about?
Notre Dame, Mueller, Democrats losing their mind.
So who did Notre Dame play?
Wrong Notre Dame. We're going back to the one in France.
Oh.
The cathedral.
Okay.
Great big.
Oh, the one that caught on fire? That one?
Yeah, that one.
Okay. What do you know about that? Was there any suspicious activity?
You know, it's funny you should say that. I honestly believe they were doing a lot of reconstruction on that, and it was probably an accident. But then my wife, she did a study of how many churches and cathedrals in France that had been arsoned over the last 4 years. And the little red dots they put for every church and cathedral that was burnt was red, and it turned the map of France red. There was just so many of them.
Mm-hmm. That's just the arson, not counting the vandalism.
That's just arson.
Yeah.
Well, St. Petr's Cathedral, that's in France too, right?
St. Patrick's?
That's the one that the guy took the gas
No,
cans
that's in St. Peter's.
St. Peter's?
That's
in New York?
New York.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I knew that.
And he actually looked at going to
St.
New
Peter's?
Jersey
I thought it was
first.
St. Patrick's.
You know,
St. Peter's is in Rome.
All right.
It's sad. I was talking to a friend earlier today that these sick. There has to be something to help these mentally ill people. They see something like this, and all of a sudden, we don't know what caused Notre Dame, but he wanted to be a copycat right off the bat. He all of a sudden looked for a place to torch, and luckily they caught him.
Yes. What do you know about him?
Very little.
Adjunct professor.
Oh, yeah, he's a professor?
Adjunct
Teaching
professor.
our kids?
Yeah. Yep. My assumption was, I shouldn't make assumptions like that, but my assumption was that he's a liberal. You know?
No, and I don't. I think he was mentally ill, and I think
What I said.
You did. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, we don't have the rim shot here. I think we have in this country neglected our mentally ill in this country, and in some cases we've ignored signs and symptoms. I mean, let's face it. There was a movie out about what was that? How to Kill 15.
Oh yeah.
Without saying a word.
Yeah.
We have to keep our eyes open, especially in today's world, for people who have evil on their mind. Look at this girl that wanted to go up, and she was just fascinated with Columbine, and she ended up making threats to schools and everything else. She ended up killing herself during the manhunt because they were looking for her. She bought a shotgun. She bought it legally, but luckily she didn't carry out the threats she was making.
Unfortunately, she carried it out on herself.
She carried it out on herself.
You can imagine this tormented soul. She was just 19 or 18, and I can't imagine at
what causes
age.
somebody to do that. Who has she been listening to? That would be interesting to find out. And what medications was she on? What were they prescribing for her?
I really feel that our schools have gotten so busy in indoctrination of one thing that they're looking past and they're being tolerant of people that are showing signs of severe mental illness and doing nothing about it. I don't want to just blame it on the school systems. I'm blaming this on society in itself. There's a lot of society that are in the name of tolerance, ignoring mental illness and not helping these people get help. And so instead of saying, hey, you are sick and you need help, they're saying, oh, that's just who you are and we're going to accept you the way you are and kumbaya and do nothing to help them. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, they're out there trying to burn down churches, shoot up schools.
They're even making it a little worse than that, Rick.
They run for Congress,
Yeah. Get elected, unfortunately. Right. Or for...
I'm sorry, Gary, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's fine. They're making it a little worse than that. They're making it illegal to step in and try and help these people. Because,
or to criticize them, to find out, to say, I think you need help. Who are you to challenge my worldview? Yeah.
It's... I'm a trained counselor, and... it breaks my heart when they sit in there, and I'll have, like, if I'm going to be, and I cannot talk too many specifics, but if I'm going to counsel, let's say, a teenager, the parents say in there and say, well, these are their triggers. You're not allowed to talk to them about this, and this. And guess what? Because they're the guardians, guess what I can't do? I can't talk to them about this, and this. Yeah. Which, if they're saying this is what I can't talk about, that tells me generally that's where the problem is.
That makes them enablers then.
Yeah.
Then you just have to do a generic exorcism.
Not again.
I've tried that on Gary. It doesn't work. He's still Gary.
Well, I've made Ken from Livonia wait long enough. Maybe he has something to chime in about Notre Dame. Ken,
don't talk about the Lutherans.
Ken.
Yeah, I did want to chime in. A lot of people have been shedding tears regarding the fire that has occurred at Notre Dame. And I'm not one of them.
Because it's not Lutheran.
Because I'm shedding tears over, do your history check. I'm shedding tears over the thousands of people innocently murdered at Notre Dame because of their religious beliefs. You had Protestants, you had Jews, you had women, children. These murders had the sanction of the Roman Catholic Church. And are we talking about that? No.
All right, hold on, Ken. Pastor Rick has a comment.
If you look at the history of any nation, whether it be France, United States, even Canada, no country's ever done perfect things. We have things in our history we're not too proud of. I know Ken has come out and spoke out against the tearing down in the past when we talked about tearing down of statues and stuff of people of the
historical
figures because they were South and they represented slave ownership and stuff like that. I don't agree with everything that happened in France. I don't agree with everything the Catholic Church did. Actually, I agree with very little of what the Catholic Church has done in history. Well, actually, since 500 AD, I agree with almost nothing the Catholic Church.
But you are not anti-Catholic.
No, but what I do say is Notre Dame is part of world history, and it is a wonderful piece of architecture that speaks of the architecture of its time, and is a wonderful piece of art that can be appreciated for art's sake. And I shed a tear. I am not Catholic. I'm definitely not French. You haven't seen me surrender one time. All right, and I understand the history of the church. I understand Ken's frustration with what the church has done in the past. What the church has done in the past is terrible, but we should not sit there and celebrate the wiping out of history. This is a beautiful piece of architecture that speaks for its time, and it reaches out beyond just religious. Let's understand that this has also affected some of our literature. Take a look at Hunchback of Notre Dame, right?
Well, let's look at it this. I'm cutting you off. I'm sorry.
If you study the humanities, you're going to study the Baroque and the heavy architecture of the time. And you know what they say: if it's not Baroque, don't fix it.
Well, the Well, the one thing I can say is this, is that my church, we still hold firm that the Pope is the Antichrist and that the Catholic Church is the Church of the Antichrist.
Well, you know what? Given the current
I
Pope,
just can't shed a tear over a building that there again is the site of so many murders.
Well, if everybody,
with men, women, and children.
Okay, you made that point, Ken. But it brought up a similar thought along the lines of during the French Revolution, the secularists took over that building.
Yes.
And that was their
point of the guillotine was coming down on many necks there.
Yes. So even in an unreligious, and in fact an anti-religious structure like that, it was a symbol of death of many. So nonetheless,
it's a piece of history.
It's a piece of history. A lot of artwork in it. It is a symbol of Christianity in many people's minds. And the thing that strikes me is
thing.
Wait, give me a second. What it is a case of if that was a target of terrorist attack, of a Muslim extremist, which we don't know yet, and we say, well, I don't care if they burn that down. The famous words are, first they came for the Catholics, and I didn't say anything.
Then they came for the Jews.
Yes.
I didn't say anything. And now they're coming for me, and there's no one here to say anything.
Exactly.
Right. Go ahead. Go
ahead, Ken.
Well, my last point I just want to bring up, since it's also getting coverage in the news regarding Notre Dame. Now, the Roman Catholic Church is known for creating false relics. And the one in particular that I keep hearing about that is definitely a fraud, the crown of thorns worn by
Ken,
Jesus is
we're
not
off track here.
Located at
I understand what you're saying. I don't necessarily believe it's crown of thorns either. Don't know. Don't care. Don't care if there's a sliver of the cross there. Does nothing for my faith whatsoever. My faith is in the one who we celebrated the death of yesterday and will celebrate the resurrection of tomorrow. So look, I got other callers.
Can I give your listeners a recommendation while we're talking about Easter too?
No. I got other topics to get onto, Ken, okay? Okay? I'm sorry, another time. Thanks.
All right, take care.
You too. Happy Resurrection Day. So, okay, we've made Phil last a long time. So, Phil, what do you got?
Well, howdy, Pastor Rick and Ed and Gary and the whole gang there. On that story about that 18-year-old getting a shotgun and going
Phil,
doing,
give me 1 second.
what she was going to do.
Phil, can you hear me?
The rest of the story and caught her name. Okay.
Uh-oh. Phil, can you hear me?
Muslim.
Phil, are you on speakerphone? We're hard to hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Normal?
Let's try it again.
Normal?
Go ahead.
Okay, we're back to normal. Okay, I heard her name, and it sure sounds like...
hey, Phil, you're going to have to call us back on another line or move your phone because we can't hear it. You're coming through just
deep in a rain barrel.
Right, and we want people to hear what you want to say.
And the girl's name sounded sure like a Muslim to me. It was not an American name. Okay, they're just covering up the story. This is jihad. And there's a rash of these jihad attacks on the Christian. This is our main holy thing of the whole year is Easter, Resurrection Day, and they have they always do that.
Excuse me, Phil. Phil, it was hard to hear you. Were you nod your head yes or no? Did you say that the girl, the 18-year-old, was on a jihad mission?
You betcha. Yeah, I heard her name, and she's suggests that she's a Muslim. That's her agenda.
Okay, I know nothing about that. I'll look that up when I get home or at break. That's very interesting.
Yeah, if that's true, we'll find that out for sure.
Yeah,
and the Notre Dame and everything is a rash of attacks against everything Christian at the Holy Week.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, thanks for bringing that up, bringing that to our attention, and we'll look into it.
Do you mind if I give
Do you mind if I... God bless.
God bless.
Happy Easter to y'all.
Same to you.
You mind if I give a quick promo to my show? Because I want to explain something real quick.
Man.
I know it. Hey, listen, folks, I know tomorrow's Resurrection Sunday, and Pastor Max last week and I spent a lot of time on Resurrection and Easter. I've been wanting to get Ed in on my show for a long time to talk about a certain book. And this is the Saturday that worked out. So Ed Hoffman, not Ed Bonderenka from Miscellany, Ed Hoffman, is going to be joining us on our show to talk about a book that both he and I love dearly. And so it's not about the Resurrection Sunday, but